we will compare butter and margarine. Let's start with butter. Butter is derived by churning milk or cream, and it contains saturated fats. So butter contains saturated fats. It's most important part you should remember about butter. And 80% of butter is these fats, and only 16% is water, and less than 1 gram is carbohydrates and proteins. Almost zero carbohydrates and proteins. Butter is solid on room temperature, and if you want to choose best butter, it should be darker yellow, because darker yellow means grass-fed cow. And if butter is pale and it's more whiter or pale yellow, it means grain-fed cow. So grass-fed cow is better. That's why you should buy more yellow butter. And now let's say, what is butter safety? Butter safety: every day around 1 tablespoon daily. It's around 14 grams butter daily. It increases mortality by 1%. So it increases death rate by 1%. It's very small change. You can ignore it. It means that butter is not good for your health, but slightly worse for your health, but nothing important. It's almost zero. And now let's say what meta-analysis says about cardiovascular risk. Previously, it is thought that butter was highly correlated with cardiovascular risk, but after many meta-analyses and many studies, there is no correlation between them. So butter is not increased risk of cardiovascular disease, and moreover, dairy products does not increase cardiovascular risk. They have neutral and slightly even beneficial, sometimes these saturated fats. And when we say dairy products, when we say saturated fats, the saturated fats have neutral or slightly beneficial cardiovascular risks. And no correlation between butter intake and stroke also, and we have inverse relationship with diabetes and butter. So if you intake butter regularly, you have less risk to get diabetes, around 4%. It's also low percentage, of course, but still statistically important. And now we have question if butter is superfood. Of course, no, butter is not superfood, because superfood will not increase death rate even by 1%. It's around neutral food actually. Of course, it contains vitamin A, omega-3, vitamin D, vitamin E, omega-6, but it's not superfood. This amount of vitamins and minerals and omega-3 fatty acids is not so important, and is not important amount that affect lifespan or affect importantly our health. So it's more neutral food. It will not harm you, but not benefits also, not important benefits also. And we should remember about safety when we use butter for frying or baking, and what it means. For using butter for baking is good idea, because it's okay. Even butter has low smoke point, baking is okay, because at this case when you bake complex compounds, and butter will not reach such high temperature that reach this smoke temperature and will not become harmful. So baking butter is okay, but frying butter is not okay. For frying, because butter has low smoke temperature, and it means that when you frying, for example, you frying egg in the butter, it can be harmful, because if temperature reach smoke temperature, it butter starts degrade its components, and it becomes harmful and carcinogenic, and it will increase risk of cancers. That's why frying in butter is not good idea literally. Baking is okay. And if you want to fry in butter, for it clarified butter or ghee is good because they have higher smoke temperature and it's okay. Now let's talk about margarines. Margarines originally was created to alternative of butter but more healthier. They thought that margarine would be healthier alternative because it was from vegetable oil, and vegetable oil means unsaturated fats. So when we say about butter, it's saturated fats. When we say about dairy products, it's saturated fats. But when we say about margarine and vegetable oil, it's unsaturated fats, and unsaturated fats is considered healthier. But here was problem. These unsaturated fats were liquid at room temperature, so we want more hard, more solid consistency. That's why they started hydrogenation process. Hydrogenation process means they add hydrogen ions to unsaturated fats and it becomes saturated fats. So they add hydrogen ion and it becomes saturated fats. But here is one problem, and problem is this hydrogenation process. During hydrogenation process, there is some conformational changes to the fat structure, and some fats becomes different with different conformation. They change their molecular structure and they become trans conformation, and they should be cis form and they become trans, and this trans is called trans fats, and this trans is problem. It's huge problem for body, and we will explain why. When margarine contains trans fats, margarine increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, increase risk of diabetes, increase risk of chronic inflammation, and even mortality rate by 34%. So if butter increase mortality rate only 1%, margarine with trans fat increase mortality by 34%, 34 times unhealthier and riskier than butter. That's huge difference actually. And if we say, is there is safe limit for trans fat? No, there is no safe limit. Even FDA says that it's 2 grams is healthier, not healthier, but safer. Less than 2 grams daily, it's okay. But actually, there is no safe limit. Even smallest amount of trans fat is harmful. And now let's say what kind of margarines we have. We have traditional margarines, which is totally unhealthy because they contain trans fat. We have soft margarine. Soft margarine is margarine with low or no trans fats. In perfect condition, there is no trans fat. And how? Because of esterification, interesterification. It means that we still have saturated fats from unsaturated fats, but we will not use method of hydrogenation, but we use method of interesterification, and in this case we don't get trans fats. That's very important, and we get healthier margarine. So healthier margarine, no or very low trans fat. Low fat margarine is another form when we have less fats at all. They are replaced by water or by other components, and we have spread. Spread is combination of butter and margarine, but you should pay attention. Even you looking at spread, there should not be trans fats. Trans fats should be 0. And fortified margarine, it means this margarine is fortified by sterols. It's very important, and I will explain why. Because fortified margarines means that this margarine is added sterols. Sterol is plant-based component, and this sterol is competitor of cholesterol, and our body absorbs sterol but not cholesterol, and it decreases LDL or risky or unhealthy cholesterol in the body. That's very important. So sterol fortified margarines decrease LDL level by 10%. It's very important because it decreases risk of cardiovascular disease, decreases risk of diabetes, chronic inflammation, decreases risk of cancers and many diseases. So sterol fortified margarines with zero trans fats is best option, healthiest option. And there is meta-analysis also that if there is zero trans fats in margarine, they decrease risk of heart disease by 15%. So now let's say final comparison. If we compare classical butter and classical margarine, of course butter is better because margarine is catastrophic for our body literally because of trans fats. But if we compare butter to margarine with zero trans fats or zero trans margarine and plus fortified by sterols, then margarine is much more healthier alternative. So you should find margarine with zero trans fats and fortified by sterols. That will be best option. That will be best option for your health and for your body. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for your watching. If you like my videos, please thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye for now.